Hi, everyone, and happy day 3 of Tech's World New York City. Thank you so much for joining us today at Ask the Experts, where you all get to ask the questions that you have, everything you're curious about, wondering, can't find information on local sourcing, local and domestic production, shifting from overseas to domestic production or starting fresh, and sustainability. So our speakers today are Chung, Director of MCM Enterprises, Jessica Osborn, CEO and founder of Privy Label, and myself, I'm Andrea Kennedy from Fashiondex. And I'm going to start, hi Jessica, by having Chung and Jessica introduce themselves. Chung, would you like to start, please?
Okay, sure. My name is Chung. I am the director of MCM Enterprise in Brooklyn, New York. We are a full-service manufacturer with 30 years of experience. It's a family-owned business. We have been helping fashion professionals and non-professionals for years, helping them with design, development, production, logistic, consulting, anything that have to do with cut and sew product, produce domestically, import internationally. We do all of those.
Jessica, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Hi, I'm Jessica, the founder and CEO of Privy Label. And at Privy Label, we work with fashion entrepreneurs, so mostly startup clothing brand owners, and we help guide them through the process of, I have an idea, to how do you bring that to reality. On our website, we sell different modules. We can help you with fabric sourcing, pattern making, sample sewing, along with vetted contacts for each of those steps in the process. And we also have a network of 10 different factories around the US that we can recommend to these startup entrepreneurs. And additionally, we do one-on-one coaching with startup entrepreneurs as well.
Well, terrific. Thanks so much, Jessica. Thanks so much, Chung, and everyone. My name's Andrea Kennedy. I'm sustainability lead at Fashiondex and help with sustainability sourcing, as well as teach classes on sustainability and building sustainable brands at LAM College. So today's 30-minute session is all about you asking the questions. We did have 3 come in advance. You can either raise your hand to ask a question or put it in the chat box. I see we already have 4 questions, but because we did have a few, 2 emailed in, I'm going to start with those. So Chung and Jessica, how much does a company have to buy from a typical domestic manufacturer in order for them to accept their business? So, what do you think about that? Chung, I think that's a great one for you. Hi, Paola.
Hi. That actually depends on which manufacturer you work with. I don't speak for ourselves. We have a 1-piece minimum. Okay. In other words, if you want to do haute couture, we could do that. But if you want to do 10,000, we could do that 1 million. It really depends on our schedule and our capability at that moment when you place in the order. But standard, unlike the old days, today's most manufacturers are willing to do small batch. Okay. So 50 is a good starting point. But to get actually a discount on manufacturing minimum, I would suggest 120 to 240 to get a good break on prices. Okay, that's when you start to get some good benefit of manufacturing by quantity. Unless, of course, the designer or the brand want to do make to order and the price a little bit higher and justify the amount they could make smaller batch because they could demand for more. So it's really up to the manufacturer and the designer.
Great, thank you so much. Nicholas says in the chat box, the pain point is MLQs for startup brands, but 50 is not a bad MLQ. And you're saying that at least your factory in New York is willing to take 50. Is that correct?
I'm willing to take 1.
1. Woohoo! Talk about small batch production. Jessica, anything to add?
Pretty similar to Chung's response. Like most of the factories that we work with will accept a 50 unit to 200 is the opening order size for them. And that's per style color. I like to be specific because some people think they can do 50 units and then do 10 of 5 different colors. but that doesn't usually work. So you need to do 50 units of one blue dress, and then it can go across the different sizes.
Great. Thank you both. So Tamara's question is, I'm a founder of a sustainable women's wear brand producing in New York City. Yahoo Tamara, can you recommend where I can find sustainable shoulder pads and interlining?
For shoulder pads, I really like a company called Bias Bespoke out of New York, and they have cotton shoulder pads, so you don't have to do like the poly foam.
Terrific. Thank you so much. I also know a few designers who are buying the broken down, chopped up textiles from Fab Scrap and creating their own in cotton. So
that sounds difficult, but awesome.
I know, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, actually, there's a lot of trimming company in New York that does it. It really depends on the quantity you purchase and who to approach. There's like local people like Silk Thread, Panda Trim, International, Active Trimming, and all that.
CLS says, what's everyone's brand and what are everyone's pain points when it comes to apparel and textile waste? So let's talk about waste. Is there at least one way you can each discuss that brands can work on avoiding waste right now, or using waste in a creative way so that it saves them money?
Yeah, a lot of the brands that we've been working with have asked the factories to save the scraps and send them back to the brand owner, and then brand owners are working with local seamstresses to make things like silk scarves or scrunchies or face masks out of so small products that they can then sell on their websites alongside the larger orders of clothing.
Love that. Thanks, Jessica. Chung?
For us, we trying to, it is our job to waste as little as possible as a manufacturer. That's our goal. That's how we make our money, be efficient. So, I mean, scrap, if you can't use it, of course, you send it to recycle for people that could use it to break it down, sell it as scrap to like a detailing company. Some are Home Depot packages, some of them they use for landfill, just for doing road. There's a lot of purposes, a lot of way of doing it. But the best way to utilize scrap is plan on your work. Like a lot of time, the marker is not very efficient if you're only producing one product. The more you put on it, you could actually utilize better. Usually computer nesting could help you, get the most efficient way of producing it and less waste. So let's say if you do a dress, sometimes you have a lot of waste on the border because it just does not fit correctly. Okay, then you could utilize that by adding other accessories onto the marker to use up the wastage. That's what I recommend.
Great, thank you so much. And then let's not forget about packaging. Boxes in should be your packing boxes out. We have a question from Sharon on domestic suppliers with stock fabrics. So I'm assuming you're talking about domestic textile suppliers with stock fabrics. Fashiondex can certainly supply you a list of those, but if anybody has any favorites, Jessica or Chung, that you want to mention?
Domestic suppliers with stock fabrics. Kindor is one, but I think they're in Canada, pretty sure. And Zentex is another one.
Zentex is great.
But they source, it's mostly Chinese fabrics, but it is in stock.
And then Brian's asking, or Bryn, I'm sorry, domestic cut and sew manufacturers considering the made to order model to reduce inventory waste. So this takes us back, and it combined that with Marion's questions of small batches of 25 to 30 pieces. So if Chung and Jessica, if you missed the beginning, both will take lots of 25 to 30. So domestic manufacturers consider.
We don't work with lots of 25 to 30.
Oh, I thought we did. I'm sorry.
Our minimums are 50 units.
A small batch.
For us, our minimum is one piece. Like I said, if you want to do couture, made to order, we could do that. Okay, that's no problem. We work with everybody. I have customers starting out with 50 pieces. Some just make to order, like professionals and celebrity. They want to make their own clothes. We could do that. But the thing they have to keep in mind, and everybody needs to keep in mind, is your price varies depends on how many you produce. Okay, the more you produce by size, breaking down by size by color, the cheaper it gets. Okay, so if you're producing one, there's no way you could get away to make it for $5. Okay, just because China can do it for free or sampling, but they include that into your cost of production. Here you pay everything up front. So if you're going to do one, then you're going to be paying sample price. Whereas you do 10, 50, they could average it out, okay, on a setup charge, and figure out how to get to the price point you need. But what you need to do is you need to talk to your manufacturer, okay? A lot of manufacturers don't take the time to do that nowadays, but you get to any price point you want if you want to compromise three things. One is detail of your product, the quantity of your order, and the delivery time. So, I mean, if people like to do small batch, those are the things they need to focus on when they're talking to the manufacturer.
Right. But those questions that we learned when we first learned how to source was how fast can we get it and how cheap can we get it? We can't ask when we're looking for.
I mean, that's why it takes time to talk to the manufacturer that you choose to work. It don't cost you anything talking to the manufacturer. Exactly. Okay, they'll provide the information if you just ask.
Before I ask the next question, I see that Paola Deli Carbonara is here, who might want to even answer some textile questions, if you have any. But the next question we see is manufacturers producing seamless underwear in the US. And I just want to say I have a great factory in downtown LA who does that. So who's asking that? Yi Young Choi. So Yi Young, if you stay on at the end, I will go on to another screen and get you their name. It's actually Intima, INTIMO, out of LA, and they do seamless underwear. Next one is accessory factories making duffel bags and belts. Any suggestions on that?
Belt. You could try if you're locally in New York. Try Sherry Accessory. Them 19.
SHERRY.
Okay, and also bags. There's a lot of bag manufacturing. Like I said, but Absco, if you do duffel and stuff like that, they're a printing company, but they do a lot of bags for the promotional company, so they're very affordable.
Terrific, thank you. From Lisa, she asks you both, are you able to do full package manufacturing from sourcing trims and fabrics to garment manufacturing? Jess, do you want to start? Jessica?
Sure. Each of the factories is different. Most of them do offer in-house development services, including fabric sourcing. I tend to encourage new designers to actually do their own sample development away from a factory so that you can shop your samples around at multiple factories and you don't end up in a situation where the factory owns your patterns and your samples, because sometimes that can happen.
Excellent. And Chung, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, we are full service. Again, we could do full packaging, full production, no problem. The problem with that is people have to understand when you do full package production, the volume have to be certain size. There is a minimum requirement because we as a manufacturer have to invest in purchasing the material, source the material, cut and sew the material together. Okay, there's a big investment into it. In today's world, in our industry, we rarely give credit anymore, and you have to pay it up front. So if you don't do mass production, it's hard to give you value on that, because you think about it, we have to buy the yarn, knit it, dye it, finish it, cut it, sew it. It's a lot. It can't be small batch. So if you want to full production, then full package production, then expect to produce a lot.
Excellent, thank you. I want to switch over to one of the pre-emailed questions. Jessica, did you have something to add?
I was just going to say that everything that Chung says, great information, but not every factory works like that. Some of them will do, full package for a flat fee. So you don't have to commit to a large order, but you do have to pay the money that it takes to cover all of the time and resources.
Yes. Okay, thank you. I want to click over to one of there's two more questions yet to ask that were asked in advance. So one is, what should a new brand who wants to have samples made, what's a typical sampling price? It's higher than we think it will be, right?
Yeah, I would say it depends who you're working with. It depends how complex your garment is. And for sampling price, are you talking about just pattern making or just sample sewing, or like the whole thing together?
Usually
I found
the whole thing, I imagine.
Yeah, so if the whole thing together, like you're like $500 is probably for one sample, maybe a little less, maybe 300 if it's basic. So. Chung, I don't know if you have a specific price that they offer.
Well, we post our prices on our website for references. It all comes down to details and time. It's usually paying the pattern maker and the sample maker for the time. We don't make money making sample, but it's just a resource that we give to our customer. But typically for sampling, you're looking a few $100s. Okay, first pattern, first sample. Then we don't sell packages, okay? We sell what my customer wants. We only quote them based on the first pattern, first sample. Any adjustment, any alteration, they have to pay for those, but those are minimized costs. So a typical a garment, let's say a top, a dress, you're looking about a few $100s. The cheap end could be $200, a pattern and a sample. High end would be about $500.
Right.
But that's just basic, okay? When we go into jackets and stuff like that, more detail, handworks, you're gonna expect to pay more.
Thank you. And would those, if then you do get the order of 100 pieces or whatnot from that sample, is that sampling price deducted from the bulk order or no?
Typically, no, not with most of our US factories.
Well, that depends on how the deal is negotiated. If you tell the manufacturer upfront that that's what you like, they could factor that number into production. Okay, that's what we do. We tell all our customers, if that you want us to credit you, then we'll factor that amount into production costs. Okay, that's usually how we do it.
Thank you both. So we have two questions next, one from Tamara on suppliers for biodegradable garment bags, extra long, and one from Vincent regarding spandex. So I'm saying both, even though they're very different, although they're both wicked problems because both plastic and spandex are made out of petroleum. But nevertheless, do you have suppliers you can recommend for either local spandex or biodegradable garment bags, Chung or Jessica?
Biodegradable long garment bags. I don't know if I've found that. I have found biodegradable like packaging, mailer packaging, and individual like folded garments. Eco Enclose is one of my favorite. Like they do a lot of recycled poly, which is not biodegradable, but they also have some biodegradable, like made of corn bags.
Eco Enclose is great. And Tamara and Vincent, if you want to stay on at the end, I also have, I can recommend, I just don't want to go through my Rolodex right now looking. So hold off and I'll give you each at least one. Let's see, what's next? Shoe manufacturing. Anyone know a good shoe manufacturing in the US? Is Clover and Cobbler.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know, and I'm so sorry. I kind of am in like a little bit of a brain fog and there it is, it came to me. So Lade asks that she's a small business owner currently looking for clothing manufacturers who can do samples and production, such as hoodies and sweatpants, working with fleece and French terry. Any recommendations, including yourselves?
Yeah, I would think MCM can do that.
Yep, I would think so.
Yes, I mean, it's a good start, but usually what we will tell our client is we will quote them based on what their needs are. If it doesn't work out, we'd be happy to give you other references of people that we work with in the local area, trying to help everybody out, because I am not the cheapest in the area. Okay, and some people are more into value. I'm more into service. So if it doesn't work out, I'd be happy to give you a local other manufacturer that can help you with that. Just email me.
And I see a lot of, I'm like looking through the chat as well. And like, there's a question about like athleisure, athletic, children's and swimwear, like what's a good small batch factory. I really, for all of those categories, Lefty manufacturing out of Los Angeles is incredible.
Lefty is great, and so is Nature USA out of Los Angeles. And they do also use, I mean, fleece and cotton knits, and they're also fair trade. But I agree with Lefty is also excellent, particularly for the children's wear and swimwear. Okay, so Angela, I can't answer but if you stay on, I can give you some small run printers that are domestic at the end also, of which we are getting close to. So in terms of patterns for samples, for quotes for manufacturing, what are you looking for in terms of patterns for samples for quotes for manufacturing, asks Lori. Any quotes that you're willing to kind of ballpark for Lori out there?
So the pattern makers that we work with generally charge by the hour, and will their hourly fees will range from $40 to $75 an hour, depending on where they're located. And I would say like you never know how long a first pattern is going to take. Like it could take anywhere from 2 hours to 10 hours, just depending on how complex the garment is.
Well, exactly. I mean, basically, the best way to do it is just contact the manufacturer or the pattern maker, and they will usually quote you a price based on your tech pack, and there's no obligation. Okay, if you like it, just move forward. If not, just shop around until you find the one that works well with you.
That's right. Yep.
Yes. The recording for this Zoom will be shared if you registered. We will send you all the link. Janae asks, she's a startup designer and wondering if factories still will send out fabric swatches. So what about swatching and sampling in general with the companies, with the suppliers you work with?
Yeah, all of the fabric suppliers we work with offer swatches. You can either, some of them do it for free, and some of them you have to purchase the swatches.
Yeah, basically, you just have to contact them and know how to communicate with them. A lot of them, if you are willing to talk to them, they will send it to you for free. But some of them just don't like to do the work, so they rather you pay them, okay, to show that you're committed. You just call the supplier and talk to them. And after a while, you know how to work with them. It's not that difficult. Just pick up the phone.
This is an opinion, of course. Should you keep manufacturing close to home? And if so, how close? Chloe lives in an area without many sewing contractors.
I always recommend as close as possible, but you don't want to, you don't want to choose a low quality factory just because they're close to you. Like it would make more sense to choose a high quality factory that does a good product, even if they're across the country. That's my opinion on it.
Exactly. I mean, basically, you have to, work with the people that in your area. That's the preferred because you better control. It's easy to communicate. But we have learned, through the years, it really is not that difficult to work online and out of state. It's a matter of learning how each other work. Communication is the key. Most of our customers from out of state work with us through phone and email. Okay, after they learn how we work, the order is pretty basic. Whenever they need something done, they just send us the goods, email us with instruction, and we just move forward. It's not that difficult. When it's done, we just send it back. They'll give us comment and stuff like that. But of course, it's always good to work locally because it'll save you money, it'll save you time if possible. But if you just don't have that type of resource, just do some research. You will find it's not that difficult to work domestically out of state.
Right. It is great to work local, but not every single material you need can be found locally. So, I mean, we have to kind of be realistic and what's achievable in working local. And I just want to piggyback on what Chung and Jessica said about you can be out of state. Once, it is great to be local because you can kind of drive over there and walk right in and, kind of look at everything. But once you develop trust, I mean, a manufacturing is a relationship, right? So once you develop trust, you don't really have to be there anymore. So a couple hours away is by plane or whatnot is fine. It's great though that you can keep it on this hemisphere. Tech packs. Grant is asking, do most factories use tech packs over patterns for production? Are both needed to produce garments, and which do you prefer?
All of the factories we work with require patterns and tech packs.
Tech pack, usually just a starting point. That's what is used to help you communicate with the pattern maker, because they need to go by something. Without the tech pack, they won't be able to produce the pattern. So, but what people always get confused with is that how complicated tech pack need to be. That's the beauty of working domestically. It don't have to be that complicated. Basically, the pattern maker have to understand what your needs are, what are you looking for on your product that's different from out there. Very often, they just need some sketches, something from copy and paste from online or from out of your closet. Then with detailed comment, with communication after they understand what you want, they could create the first pattern. But of course, things are never ever perfect on the first pattern. Then after the sample, that's why you need to fit it and give the pattern maker new feedback, and that's why you need adjustment and alteration. So it's a process. It's basically start with a tech pack or sit down with a pattern maker if they are locally and develop the pattern, test the pattern with a sample, and do adjustment until you have a perfect pattern. Basically, the process is like 2 to 4 weeks. So it's pretty easy if you're local.
Thank you so much. So we only have about time for 2 more questions. So, but Deborah suggests that you try Misty Mountain in Seattle for bags and duffel bags. So thanks, Deborah. Isabel is asking, for a new brand, do you recommend buying a package that includes fabric sourcing fees, or source the material herself or himself and supply that to the manufacturer? Which, what can you recommend to new brands?
I would say try to source on your own at first. And if you keep running into walls and not being able to find the fabric you want, then pay for it. Yeah,
that's usually the best route because we do charge for sourcing per item. But very often you could source it yourself for much cheaper, okay? But what we could offer is, if you can't find it, feel free to email us or call us. If we know of somebody that may carry it, we'll provide the information. You just have to do the negotiation yourself.
Excellent. There are many questions left. I'm trying to even scroll through, but I did get one more question emailed in advance who may be here. Antum says, since sustainability is an important global issue, many fashion professionals suggest transformable clothing or modular clothing is a great way to minimize fashion waste. Still, we don't see these types of garments frequently in the market. What are the causes for it still not going into bulk production? What's the possible solution? Okay, this is, I guess, modular clothing that can transform from a jacket to a vest and whatnot. Well, let's just say, is it a production issue, or are you turning those designs away? Or that's not the issue, right? It's just demand.
I think it's a demand issue.
Yeah.
For manufacturer viewpoint, we could do anything, but to look at it, it's a great idea, but it's hard to achieve, because in order to make it really have a big impact, I believe everybody had to buy into it. And the hard part is not every designer specs are the same, unless you're talking about accessory. So on the small scale, a designer could have a collection of modular, collection that interchangeable because they fit all the same. But in order to get a big impact on that, everybody had to be on the platform. So the future that I see is, if they want to make this work, software is very important. So the people with the same spec, using the same measurement, same way of putting things together, that could interchangeable, have to have the same information from other manufacturers, like how the zippers are put on, how each part, like the sleeve, they connect. Because if the sleeve hole is different, how are you going to put it together, right? It just doesn't work. So, but for, to start, I mean, it's not possible. It's a matter of, will people accept that? And will people buy into it? If people buy into it, I think it's a great idea.
Plus, you have launderability issues, right? Things will shrink differently, the snap tape at the armhole or whatnot. So with that, I'm getting messages to wrap it up because we are over time and there's another session starting back on the Tex World platform at 1:30. But I do want to just hand it both back to Jessica Osborn and Chung Yu for final words, final advice, as well as where they can contact you each. Jessica, do you want to start, please?
Sure. This was really great. I love being able to talk to fashion entrepreneurs get your questions. We actually do free 20-minute consultations with anyone who's interested in Privy Label services. You can find those on our website at privylabel.com. And my email is jessica@privylabel.com if you want to reach out.
Great. Thank you so much. And Chung?
Well, it's basically the same thing. I mean, that the key is, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call manufacturer, supplier. Some don't have the time, but if you take the time, you're going to find someone that will be able to help you and provide you with resources.
And mine is akennedy@fashiondex.com. So with that, please visit Tex World and the local sourcing section and visit MCM Enterprises and see Chung there. There's still 2 hours left of the show. See Privy Label and see Jessica. Also, you can see Natasha International and Eagle Fabrics and Fashiondex at Resource Row, where we have a new standard body measurement book, a new costing book, and a new sustainable sourcing directory. So we wish you a great day at the show, and thank you so much for your questions. And if I promised I'd look something up, stay on.
Okay.
Bye.
Jessica.
I had another question for you, Andrea, about Korean suppliers. Yes, because I've just noticed where I am in LA at the Row, where my office is, I just noticed how basically there's about 3 or 4 manufacturing Korean companies downstairs that have retail outlets. And I am like amazed at their retail price point and their quality. I've always, I worked for John Caldor in Australia before moving to America. So basically I used to work a lot with Korean suppliers and Japanese people, but it's changed, it changed away from that and went to China, but then now I've just noticed in America, all these Korean maker designers that are family-owned businesses that are now getting retail spots here, and their quality is pretty good. Fabrication is pretty good. I don't know how, I think they're very environmental too.
Quality is good. Styling is good, right? I mean, yeah, I know. It's
out of this world.
exactly. So, but did you have a question in terms of suppliers?
Do you know a good manufacturer? Because I did approach one label called LVIR, and they actually, them, LVIR, and they're
Out of Korea.
Yes, but they have a shop in LA, and one guy designs that with his wife. I don't know if she's a designer, but he's the designer, and it's women's wear only. But he has his own factory in Korea. But the Korean guys in the shop, they were not that keen on me approaching him. I mean, I can look up the website and contact him directly, but it didn't sound.
I do not know that retailer. I am so sorry.
But do you have a Korean supplier that you have worked with in the past that does manufacturing?
So I'll look in the database, which I don't, I just kind of grabbed my list, which is all US. So I don't have any recent Korean factories right now, so that I can recommend, but I can look in our database. But I will tell you, none of them will I have contacted in the last 3 years, but we could do that over a separate email. My email is akennedy@fashiondex.com. And then Vincent and Tamara, you were waiting for information. Could you refresh my memory?
Yes.
Absolutely, sure.
So I'm looking for biodegradable garment bags for like
garment bags.
72-inch, that I can find locally. That's not 6,000 minimum.
Right. So, okay. And Vincent, you were looking for?
Spandex. So we've been using a lot of the jobbers like Spandex House in New York City.
Yeah.
And they're great. I just wanted to know if there was maybe cheaper around.
So you know who is, let me just, one moment.
Sure.
And I know, yeah, Spandex House is great. Lala May, have you contacted them?
No.
LAME, they have loads of stretch and spandex fabrics, as well as, let me see who you can contact. Glenn is the sales contact that I have here.
Great. And they're all in New York City?
He's on 40th on the 5th floor.
Nice.
And his email is Glenn with one N, Schneer, SCHNEER at lalame.com.
It's LAMAE.
LAME, Lame. Berenstein also on the 20th floor on 39th Street. Felix is the sales contact. Berenstein is spelled BERENSTEIN. All kinds of spandex, nylon spandex, stretch, performance fabrics of all sorts. He deals with everyone from theater through dance through swim.
Great.
So how about we just so we can keep going
Yeah.
there, and then you can always reach out if you need more.
I will. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I really appreciate your time like this.
And then Tamara, you were looking for biodegradable poly bag, not poly bags, garment bags.
Yeah, I guess the plastic, you know, the standard bag that the factory puts the production in,
Okay, so
like clear plastic bag that's biodegradable.
not the zipper garment bags.
No, no, no.
Okay, because I was thinking you should make those yourself out of cotton.
Tamara, did you see the link that Sharon?
Yes, I just saw it. I just haven't been able to explore it yet.
Oh,
but-
Jessica, you're still on.
Well, I hopped back in because I had a meeting set up, but then he didn't show up. So I was like, I'll see if they're still on.
Yeah, we've just been answering questions, so this is
Yeah.
great. So IQ, I think they're out of Colorado, but they do biodegradable poly bags of all sizes.
Oh my gosh, it's IQ.
Yeah.
Is there contact information there?
I don't actually have their contact information. I just have it on my list because I don't, I can look them up real fast right now, but I know, and I won't mention who, big companies are using them right now.
I mean, this would be amazing. I really
Because I should have them on
been a
my
struggle.
computer because I searched for them. I've given their names out a few times recently. Hold on.
Great.
And then Tipa also?
Yeah, Tipa, I got the link.
Okay. Oh, you know them. Okay.
Oh, that's who Sharon put into the link.
Yeah, I don't know them, but I'm going to explore right after this call.
She said she found them through Tara St. James.
Oh, yep. Well, Tara and I would know a lot of the same people.
Yeah. I also work with Tara.
Is there anyone else who had a question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yep.
If you have fabrics like a mixture of polyester and metallic,
Go to Berenstein. They have loads of polymetallic blends.
okay.
And they stock here in the US, in New York, as a matter of fact. I'm not sure where you're located. Berenstein Textiles. You can ask for Felix, as well as Lame Fabrics. They both have spandex but poly blends with metallics. And you can ask for Glenn. All right, so with that, it is 1:50. We are going to be kind of at one point just bumped off. So if anybody else has a question, I can start it, but the meeting might end at any second.
I'm
Thank
curious
you.
for local
Oh, Jessica.
suppliers for organic cotton and linen.
Do you want someone that's making it in the US, or you just want a supplier that's in the US?
ultimately, it doesn't matter. I'm just looking for samples now so I can start production. Something for the linen would be for dresses, sundresses, and then the cotton would be for basics.
Pickering, Pickering International out of California. They only have organic cottons and linens.
Robert Kaufman also has a collection within their line that's organic, and they have cottons and linens.
And Zentex has organic linens out of New York, Zentex.
Thank you. And I'm so sorry, my 3-year-old was yelling when you first said that, the first one before Robert Kaufman.
Pickering, Pickering International. They're out of San Francisco, and all their fabrics are organic, and they specialize in cotton, but also have linen.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Andrea, may I ask a question?
Sure, although we might get cut off, but
No
Jeff
worries.
and I are here answering.
I'm just wondering if you have any other domestic handbag manufacturers that you would recommend that accept small minimums. I'm working with kind of stranger fabrics for recycled plastic, Pinatex, but I'm willing to reach out to anyone who, is making handbags with small minimums. And even if there are larger numbers they would require, but you would really recommend them, I would still totally reach out.
There is actually a company called NOLA DDM in New Orleans that does handbags, and they do really small batch orders. Check them out.
Awesome, thank you.
If you could
No,
just
no
email
worries.
me and ask me, I can send you a list.
I will absolutely email you. Thank you so much, everyone. This has been wonderful.
Hi.
Hello? Hi, I'm sorry. I just wanted to know, I'm looking for someone who'll do some printing on scarves. I don't know if you have any. I have the design. I just need someone to do the printing on the scarves.
So you want
Thank you so much.
digital printing?
Yes.
So that's waterless. That's the way to go. Dynamics, DYENAMIX, does digital printing on sample yardage, production yardage, or pieces. So a scarf is like a piece.
Yes.
DYENAMIX Inc.
Okay.
Ask for Raylene, and email is info@dynamix.com. And I'm going to give you one more. In Vogue.
Okay. Okay.
In Vogue, ask for Michael. They not only do digital printing, but they also do sublimation and a couple of others. They'll do sample yardage and small runs. And
Is that In Vogue with the E or I?
Turnaround. IN.
Okay, IN. Thank you.
I'm sorry.